Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to replace the shock towers on the back of the XMAXX. I'm going to show you guys how to remove them, how to put it back on, and all that good stuff. Also going to show you guys what I call as a little mod or a little upgrade you can do to maybe get a little bit more life out of the tower in a certain area there. I'll show you what I'm talking about when I get to it. Good idea to do before you ever run the truck if you're going to bash hard and after you put a new set on. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's go over some tools over here real quick and we'll get going. Okay, so today I got my little Hypertough from Walmart. I got my Dewalt here. I got a pair of needle nose to remove some pins just in case they're tough. I got a 1.5 to 2.5, and then of course my little hand driver that they go into so I can tighten everything up manually when I'm done. So let's go ahead and get this thing torn apart. Alright, so let's go ahead and start with pulling the back bumper off and pulling off the wheelie bar. So we'll just need a 2.5 millimeter for that. I'm going to use my Dewalt for that one. We're going to start with this screw here. You're going to need to remove this screw here. You got one here, and then you can see that you've got two below right here, and then there's one right there. So let's go ahead and get those pulled out of there real fast. And you need to pull this bumper off so that you can remove the upper A-arm hinge pins. Seems like if you're new to this, it may seem like, oh my god, you gotta take the whole back of the truck apart, but it's not much to it at all. So we'll remove these two down here. Okay, we got those out, and that bumper falls right out. There you go, we'll set that right aside over here. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and pull off the wheelie bar. It'll lift right out. Just like that. Set it aside. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and remove the upper A-arm hinge pins and the upper shock pins from the shock tower. So we're going to jump over here to it. So for that, we're just going to use a 2 millimeter and remove these screws right here. Okay, and then we're going to remove our little pin retainers from the upper A-arm, also a 2 millimeter. Now the hinge pins in the A-arm are a little bit longer. You really can't put them in the wrong spot because if you put these where the shock pins go, they're going to stick way out. So got a tire under here already just to support it because when I pull these out, we're going to lose all of that. So let's go ahead and push our shock pins out from the back side, just like that. That, and then the hinge pins on the upper A-arms will come right out also. You can just grab them with a pair of pliers, even with your fingers. No, too slippery for that, but they'll come right out. There we go, that one. There's that one. And what we'll do is just take and lay all of this out of the way. We can do that, lift up a little bit, pull the shock right out. And that is that. And the reason you have to pull these pins out, these upper A-arms out, or these upper A-arms out is because the shock tower actually goes down in here. Those pins go through the shock tower. Alright, now we can remove the actual screws that hold the shock towers. So we will go ahead and pull those out. Those will they're all going to be a 2.5 millimeter. You're going to have one here, and then down into the bulkhead, you're going to have one here, one right there. Same on the other side, you'll have one here, and then just right there. And after those are pulled, it'll come right out. So we're going to go ahead and pull these out right here first. There we go. Okay. Now, these last four that we're going to remove are long. They're 25 millimeter long, and they're really important screws. They're all important screws, but these are really important. You don't want to strip them because these go all the way through the shock tower, through the chassis, and all the way down into the bulkhead. And you don't want to have your bulkhead loose in any point because If that bulkhead flexes, you're going to ruin a lot of stuff. You'll chew up pinion and spurs, you'll chew up ring gears and pinions, and all kinds of stuff like that, because it's going to allow the chassis to flex and your mesh will get thrown off at that point. So you don't want these screws to get stripped out. Got one more down here I need to pull. It just fell out. Okay, now this the shock tower is ready to come out now. So what you do is kind of pull back on this brace right here just a little bit, not too much because you'll snap it. Lift up and it'll pull right out of there. And there's the entire shock tower. Okay, so now we have the shock tower off. I'm going to show you guys how to take it apart. It's very simple. So it sits on the truck just like that. So you'll turn it up away from you and you'll see down inside there that there are a couple of screws. See there? Okay, so I'm going to pull those out real quick, and those are also 2.5s. Take and dump that one out, and we'll take that one out. Now the shock tower just pulled right in half, just like that. And when you get them, they're going to come in halves like this. So then, here's what I was talking about the little mod that, I call it a mod. That might be a good idea, or is a good idea, because I know for a fact that it works for me. What happens is when you're bashing on these, and they take all these sideways landings and all kind of stuff like that, these towers want to separate, they want to pull apart, they want to do anything they can but stay together, right? And what I've had happen is I've had the screw just rip right through there, because there's no reinforcement in there whatsoever, just plastic, and it's a tiny screw head. So what I do is, these aren't quite the size I like to use, but they're better than nothing. I'll take and put a washer on a screw like that, for instance. It's got a little more area to that screw. It doesn't want to pull through as easily. Of course, it doesn't go there. It's an example so you can see well. But you see what I'm saying? I usually try to find a little bit bigger washer. That way it doesn't want to pull through near as easily. Whenever I've done that and replaced it with a washer like that, or added a washer, I've never had them separate again. So I'm going to just do that real quick. That's just a little, alright, so I'm going to go ahead and put these back together. They only go together one way. You literally cannot do it the wrong way. So you put them together. I got my washer on my screw. I'm going to go ahead and put them back in there. There we go. And be sure that these don't strip. I sound like a broken record when I'm saying over and over again, don't strip them, don't strip them. You can't express that enough. You don't want these to strip, because they need to be tight. So what happens is, if they're super tight to the point that they're ready to strip already, and it encounters a load or some torsion, which it's going to, and they're already super tight, and it's trying to pull out already, and then you get an impact where it wants to pull on it, you're adding more load to that screw, and it's just going to pull right out. So get them snug. They don't have to be super tight. They don't have to be super tight. Okay, so now shock tower is ready to go back on. That's how it looks. I'm going to grab the truck, bring it back over here, get set back up so you guys can see, and we'll put it back together. Okay, so we're going to set this shock tower back in there, and it goes back in just the way it came out. You see here, this is where the shock tower goes into the upper bulkhead, and the reason you have to pull these A-arms is because they fit like this. The shock's hung on it. They fit like that, and the pin goes through the bulkhead and it goes through the shock tower. So that's why you have to pull the upper A-arm. Okay, so set it back in. It goes back in just like this here. Work it back into place. You'll need to start getting it started down in the bulkhead down here, and then just pull back on this ever so slightly, just to allow it the room to go in like this here. Boom. That's it. She's back in. Now you can do, normally when I do it, I'm not filming myself, I'll slap all this back in real quick, pin, bolts back here, tighten it down. I'm just going to go back in the exact reverse that we took it apart, just for you guys' sake. Alright, so you guys can see real good there. We're going to put those screws back in. Those four long ones are 25mm long. You got one that goes there, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and run those. Let's go ahead and put these other ones in. And these look a little different. You'll know which ones they are. They're a lot smaller. See the size on the thread, and even the head shape is different. These smaller shank, smaller thread screws are gonna go in through your upper shock tower into your chassis brace. Grab our 2.5. And we'll put these back in. And again, we're gonna tighten everything by hand. They're just being ran in. All right, so we'll go ahead and run these in. I'll put you guys on the other side, so I think that'll give you a little bit better view. I think I was blocking most of the view with my hand. There we go. There we go. Okay, now I'm going to tighten these up by hand real quick so we can be sure that they are exactly where we want them. Okay, now those are good and snug. Let's check these here. Not sure if we checked them. Alright, cool. So all that's back together. Now we're going to go ahead and jump back. Get this camera out of the way, get a shot of the back, putting the bumper back on, the wheelie bar, shock, and the A-arm. Okay, so let's go ahead and get our A-arms back in. So all we do with those is we swivel everything back up, make sure our dug bones go back into the drive cup, like that, and then we put our A-arm back where they belong. Use the long pins, don't forget. And then take a look at the front real quick and be sure that you put these in the same hole. My upper A-arms in the front are using the lower hole. So that's where we're going to put these back. And these pins normally will push right back in. If they won't push right back in, most times it's not the A-arm that needs to be tweaked. It's the shock tower itself. You know, and where it goes through right here. And what you can do is just kind of grab the shock tower. Even though it's screwed down, you can still tweak it around a little bit. Like see here? There, it went right in. There, it went in. Okay. Now we're going to put our little retainer cap and screws back on there. Those are the 2mm. Those will go on just like this here. And these I'm just going to run them in by hand. Done. That one's done. And now we're going to move on to putting on the wheelie bar. Alright, so we'll put the wheelie bar back in. And it will just sit right back in like this here. You push that down. Be sure these go back inside there. Now before you put the bumper on, before you put those screws in right here, you got to put your bumper back on. So we'll set that bumper back into place. And then that bumper has a little hooked area or a little notch that sits right on this deal here, so it literally just sits right in place. Even the bottom has some little like dowels on it that when it's in place it fits like a glove. So then, now remember we said earlier these screws right here that go in from the wheelie bar into the shock tower into the bumper itself are longer. So longer screws are going to go here. And then you're going to have 2 screws on the bottom of the bumper. One goes there and one goes right there. So we're going to go ahead and tighten those up real quick. Okay. Now we'll tighten these. Okay. And then finish off by hand. Good. All right. Now, last but not least, we're going to put our shocks back into place. So you just have to pick your truck up a little bit, maybe, and they will slide right in. This one may be a little tough for me because I am watching me do it in the other camera. Nope. Missed. Yeah, I think that's it. Yep, that's it there. Okay, now all we need to do is put in our small little retainer screws that hold the shock pins in. They go right here. We'll put the other one in. Okay. Use the old Hypertough. And that is it. Other than putting my tires and wheels back on, that's it, guys. Not a bad job at all. Hope you guys appreciate that. Like, comment, subscribe. If you guys are putting this on a new set of shock towers, or you just got your truck, may not be a bad idea to reach in there, put you some washers on there, and all you got to do is remove the upper shock pin, fold it out of the way. You don't have to take anything else off, and you can get to those two screws, pop them out one at a time or together, put your washer on there, screw it back in, and you're good to go. Alright, so appreciate you guys tuning in. Like, comment, subscribe, put down in the comments what you want to see next, how you think I'm doing. My lighting is a little bit better now. Hope the lighting is better. I'm still working on a mic situation. I'm not sure if I'm going to get me one that I can wear, or like a boom or something like that. If the audio is not terrible, let me know. Anyway, guys, you guys have fun. Be safe out there. Stay well. God bless. And take care. Bye.